We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Lovely grab out.
European Ultimate Championships 2023 welcoming you back with some more mixed division action. We turn our eyes across the fields here in sunny Sunday Limerick to the Belgian mixed team against the Norwegians. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, on the call alongside Lou Burgess. Lou, what are you expecting from these two teams?
So both these teams have been pointed out coming into this tournament to be some of the weaker teams here in the mixed division. Neither team really expecting to get any medals. Norway, if we're being honest, are just here to try and not lose. They are possibly the weakest team here. Maybe there's one team that's potentially weaker, but that being said, the conditions have been so back and forth yesterday and today that games are a bit more up in the air than they normally are. But hopefully get a good game. Both teams sounded very up for it when I chatted to them just before the game, so as they said, anything can happen. Let's see.
Well, certainly we shall. As you say, the bottom seed of the tournament, but actually the Norwegians have their eyes on a 12th place finish if they can do it. They'd be happy with a berth into the power pool stages. Of course, both teams having had a loss so far. The Norwegians a 15-3 loss this morning against the Germans, who looked very tasty, though that was a very spirited game. We do know that the Norwegians like to play a zero contact style type of ultimate, and of course only 125 players playing in Norway, so they've got to keep hold of every single one of them. But the Belgians with a short field to start off. Number 10 there, very experienced Bobby Clements, bringing 18 years playing and lots of high-level tournament experience to this Belgian side, and it's him who's going to throw the first goal of the game, the youngster Quentin Schittegat, who just, of course, came off the Under-24s campaign with Belgian Open last week.
Yeah, you were there, Hanny. I was watching on the live stream all week long. Fantastic effort from the Belgian Open team at U24s. Let's see what they can do in the mixed division here for the Belgian senior team. So not the best start from Norway, but Belgium punching that first goal.
Well, it was a relatively short pull, which we don't expect to see from the Norwegians, certainly when they have 4 male matching players. They in fact have the athlete that won the windmill pulling contest this season. Look out for number 0. Is it a number? Is it not? You decide in the chat. Alexander Jard. So watch out for him with the pull. when the Norwegians, of course, have the dispute, expect them to start a good handful of times on defense in this game. But it's offense they start with now, getting us underway and giving us their first look. Of course, Magnus Grotterud even. The talisman from Norway. I've been seeing him playing out on the fields for a very long time. This is the first year, Lou, where the Norwegians are allowing non-resident citizens to play for this national side. So we have certainly players that have been living in Norway for a really long time, but able to come out and represent here as the Belgian zone slows things down. So just patience around the back. Hajizada working alongside Grotterud. And of course the number 77 on the outside, Erik Hamre. Not really able to throw anything over the top with the wind at their backs are the Norwegians. A little pop for Grotterud. A little dinky one, just slicing over their heads the marks. A relatively short cup choice.
I mean, it's doing the job though. Norway have gone side to side for the past minute or so without really getting anything through the wall. That one pop over the top of the wall wasn't followed up by anything. They've not really made any ground since they caught the pull.
Well, fabulous containment. See their streaking form of Bjorkus trying to do some damage in that number 14 shirt and the cap. Oh, that nearly escaped with Grotterud. And a little corgi in the back of the shot, possibly got caught there, catching a Frisbee. Wonder if that's it is indeed Frisbee famous corgi in the back of the shot. We'll get some colour of him a little bit later. Russell, of course, who's been balking at the scenes here. Oh, that's a lovely find. It might be taken away though. It is by the defense. Kevin Hogan with the block. So can the Belgians do anything with it? Van der Moere getting that one underway. Oh, the flying form opens up the window perfectly. Jolien Selly, sorry, with the first assist and break for the Belgians.
Yeah, nicely done from Belgium. Their zone keeping Norway around their own brick mark for so long. And Norway, as soon as they thought they had a gap through, snaffled up by the defense. That's still one of your favorite adjectives, honey. Yeah, the spacing from Norway's offense was leaving a little bit to be desired. They were able to go comfortably side to side, but really what they needed was some more threats forwards, closer to the thrower. That long throw across the field was always inviting the defense to come and make a play on it. And as impressive as it was for them to maintain possession for as long as they didn't really go anywhere. And Belgium punished them on the turn.
If you were with your clipboard on the sideline, Lou, what would be your advice to breaking through that particular zone? Or do you need a couple of more looks at it?
Well, in general, I dislike when teams have 4 handlers back against the zone because it leaves you with not a lot downfield. Ideally, you'd have 3 and then everyone else spaced nicely downfield so that as soon as you get a look through that cup, you can make something happen.
Well, the Belgians did use their zone very effectively as a comeback device in their game earlier on today. They ended up losing that one 15-12, but I believe it was a 6 or 7 nothing scoreline deficit in the first half. But that's a high, again, picked off defensive play, but immediately squandered. What panels. So, with the single arm sleeve, getting us underway for the Norwegians. Daniel Herman. Daniel now, at long last, letting the disc out. Sneaky one for Hajizada, but a turnover further up the field. Nevertheless, the pit call, which happened well before, but did it impact the play with the drop for Limerick?
See what the players decide. All the players in the stack stopped, but of course the players around the disc did not. This is what I was saying before. The conditions make it challenging for all the teams here. The best teams at the tournament are making plenty of mistakes. And really all it takes is for one team to make a few mistakes like this, dropping a disc that they really shouldn't be. If the other team focuses up and slots it in, then we could have a game on our hands.
Well, I think it's the exceptions that you're going to make errors, and that one will indeed stand. Justina Miernik, unfortunately, are not able to get her paws around that one. So, Hajizada, a shortened field after the giveaway from the Belgian dealer. Inside, fired through. Back from Jar. The little Jar. 2 Jars, of course, on this pitch. Alexander, the other, who makes that lefty catch. Great reactions. Gunderson now, staying out. Gunderson throws one up into the air, clutching through, using the height. Daniel Herman. And that will be a goal for the Norwegians. 2-1 trailing, but that's a good hold.
It's almost a bit rude from Herman to be that tall in that space. The disc sailing high above the intended target. Herman just comes in and says, no problem, I've got this. And then slots it into the end zone. Going back to the start of that point when Norway was playing against the Belgium zone, Norway's spacing looked a lot better on that time of asking. They had lots of options behind the first line of defense, and they were finding shots through it as well. So encouraging stuff going forwards into the rest of this game. Of course, Ultimate in Norway, not the biggest sport, and largely played indoors. So this team has had a reasonable amount of preparation outdoors, but it is not the standard surface it's played on in Norway. I was actually lucky enough to play against this Norwegian team at Windmill when I was there playing for Rainbow Brigade. We lost to them on Universe Point. I think we did end up finishing up higher than them in the overall standings. We won't talk about my throw on the final point when we started an offense, but hopefully it gave them some confidence coming into these championships.
Indeed, and they have a very diverse team, the Norwegians. In fact, 3 of their players will be appearing on the European Ultimate Championships Diversity Showcase game, of course, which will be happening on Thursday evening. Set that in your calendar of choice. Make sure you're there. Of course, visibility and representation is such a big thing in any sport, but we always promote it here on Ultimate Streams. So the Belgians pinned into the back of their own end zone, Callahan County, if you will. That one's going to sit and hang. Good, confident catch. Just making sure it's Pedersen. Goes to the front cone. Oh, lots of cluttering. But they just about escaped and scraped their way to the front end zone line. Throwing themselves out of gel, trying to at least, but unfortunately that one is not going to connect into the deep space for Marit Pedersen. An immediate setup of the zone for the Belgians, which of course was so key as part of their comeback. They woke up a little too late to get a win out of the blocks here in pool stages for the mixed division. Glotterud across. Oh, a great attempt to redeem that one from Jorkus. So I take that back, that's Elvestrom. But now an opportunity for the Belgians to attempt to shoot against this blustering wind. That would, oh my goodness, what a catch that was! Tell you what, Jordans has really come out into this game, all cylinders blazing. That was a hero effort. casual disc back from Clement. Big sky ball, but great attack from the number 17. Smiln Gullentop. Lead for Clements. Doesn't quite make his way into the end zone. Looking desperately for an option though. I say desperately, he actually looks pretty chill considering the stall count starting to rise. Easy reset for a lefty. Pops back to Clements. Now far sideline. Gillespie to sleep it even. And a knee spike to finish it off. Real impact moments there for Simon Gullentop.
So it was a brave deep shot from Belgium that set up this play. And you have to think it was a bit of a misplay from Daniel Chavez, number 12 for Norway, in the deep of that zone, allowing that shot to come down. We'll take another look at it. Oh, that's the fantastic backwards grab. And the nice dump swing play across the end zone that eventually led to the score. Notice how much zip is put on that final pass into the end zone. It doesn't look like there's a huge amount of wind from the stream, but out there on the pitch, it's having an effect on these discs. Throwers having to put some real spin. We were talking about that comeback against Czech in the first game today for Belgium, starting out 7-0. Chatting to one of their captains earlier, said that in the first half they just couldn't work out how to play, and then in the second half they managed to find the adjustments. That's really what brought them back, so they have to be feeling confident coming into this game.
Well, certainly neither team a win yet in this championship, so one of them will have one. Currently it looks in the favour of the Belgians, who are that one break of score up, having scored 2 on the bounce to open us into these stages. So not quite the 7-0 lead the Czech Republic managed against them this morning, but certainly they'll have a little bit of extra smiles, in addition to the smiles of course on the faces, because we have a sunny condition. So the zone forcing that big swing across. Good vision. Herman throws into 2, double trouble. Unfortunate miscue there. Lack of communication, I think it was. In fact, I'm not entirely sure who actually was that went there for that, but the beautiful throw is missed overhead, just bounced up a little bit on the breeze. Slowly walking the disc back in. Immediate low throw from Herman. Oh, and a beautiful find, far side. Dejar. Big throwing arm, but unfortunately it's going to be too far. Trying to chase it down is Pettersson. Another Belgian disc this time. Dulles. Pitcake taking us back into the safe hands. Andrew Dulles. Back in action. Nice lead up line for Verbomen. Oh, Dulles just ankle breaking his mark to get free up the line. So close to the run-through defensive bid, but Dulles working on the far side with the female matching players, and that is a lovely hold. In fact, no, is that another break for the Belgians? I do believe it is, sir.
It is indeed. That point started with Norway once again being trapped back in their own end zone by the Belgium zone. And they get the break by just running up line, running up line, running up line. If it works, why not keep doing it? So strong start for Belgium. They were the favourites coming into this game, and a 4-1 lead is something they will be pretty pleased with. Of course, Belgium are much bigger ultimate nation than Norway. But one of the things they said coming into these championships was they've not really had a chance to practice in these conditions. Not many teams have, except perhaps the Irish.
Well, and of course the British. I mean, you know, we play a tournament that's called Wind Farm and everything.
I wasn't that bad this year, though.
I don't know, I wasn't playing this season. I'm just commentating, just focusing on the action here in the booth with you. But the Norwegians, with disc in hand, looking to get another point on the board. Could give go movement. Grotteren working alongside Hamburg. Now it's in the hands of Everton. Moving across, you can hear the sideline possibly through our mics. Olsen's going to have to potentially give that one back. I think a travel call maybe.
Yeah, I didn't see a travel myself, but then again, I'm probably less focused on the throw than the mark.
Yes, and indeed, what our opinions are here in the booth matters not one iota. Grotterud with a lovely backhand break, a big wingspan man. Sort of someone you'd rather have on the other side of the disc, but of course it allows you to be able to break pretty much any mark, especially when there's a zone. Lots of falling over throws out here on the field on show pitch 11 today. But the athletic form allowing it. Oh, that's a nice find. Gadeta. Oh, and across the board finds Justina Mjernik. And that is another goal for the Norwegians. They haven't got any breaks yet in this game, so that will still be 4-2. But that was nice offense. Finds some real gems of throws in that zone.
Yeah, it's great movement around the back of that zone, in particular from Erik Harm, number 77. Very aggressively swinging the disc, accelerating out of his throw, and then trying to get that return pass up line. Even if he doesn't get it, which he typically didn't at this point, it opens up holes elsewhere, and that's really what broke the zone on that possession and allowed that pass through the middle to Olsen, and then the final shot to Mjernik. So Norway settling themselves into this game. Feels a bit like every point they play against this Belgium zone, they look a little bit better. Of course, a slightly harder task going the other way. That was the easier downwind direction.
But a chance for the Norwegians to show us their pulls. Although it's not going to be Alexander Jar to get this underway, because of course he plays playing, I think, largely on the O-line for the Norwegians, but a big pull nonetheless. Steinar Gunsen. And the Belgians with 3/4 of the pitch to descend. Big shot coming out. That's got a bit of a quirky release on it, though. It's going to sail out of bounds. Nothing that Corentin Schittekat can do about that.
Yeah, had the wrong edge on it the whole way. It's one of the most important things. You have to make sure that your deep shots come out fading towards the receiver, especially when you're on the sideline. Not entirely sure where it went out, but we are back underway.
Gunderson trying to connect that first pass, but comes unstuck. And the Belgians with a very short field indeed to advance. Riley throws one out. It's a big bid required, but he's happy to deliver. That looks like Van a bell, sorry. Well, that is Corentin Schittekat.
Yeah, impressive grab in the end zone, jumping backwards. We can take another look at it. It was a quick forehand. Had to rotate his body full 180 degrees to snag that out the air. But nicely done from Belgium. Norway once again unable to capitalize on the initial mistake with that deep shot that sailed out the far side. I have to say the Norwegians are looking a lot more comfortable going downwind than upwind.
Well, perhaps something for them to work on. As you say, they're not really used to playing outside. They're more of an indoors nation. But Converge with the excellent adjustment on that one. Of course, plays for his home team, the Skywalkers, one of my most favouritely named clubs in all of Ultimate. It's got a real good vibe to it for you Ultimate nerds. So a nice lead for Paul Sofik. Just, looked for the give go. Got it now. Fakes the blade. Not sure that's ever going to come off in this wind. Maybe a hammer or a scuba, but a power blade with the wind behind you? It's a curious choice. That's a lovely soft pop though. Solidly moving it back and forth. The Norwegians starting to really figure out the holes in this Belgian zone, and that's a clutch on the front end zone line for one of the female players to watch even for this Norwegian side. It's Sitara Hajizada.
So you say that the blade against the zone is perhaps not going to come out in these conditions. Well, Lithuania early on the stream had other ideas. They were throwing all kinds of expansive options into the end zone. Of course, that game available to watch whenever you like on YouTube.
An important question, Lou. How successful were they with the power blades?
Oh, very. I think they threw one true blade and it was caught, as well as a couple hammers and some expansive inside shots into the end zone.
Well, to focus a little bit more on Hajizada, because they were one of the players that were marked by the Germans as an individual to watch. Actually the Germans in the previous game. Talking to the Germans about the Norwegians, they said Hajizada was a player to watch. There you go, just in case anyone else was confused alongside Lou. So actually started her playing career back at the University of Essex in 2013, so when she was a student in the UK. Then of course moved across to Oslo, which is where she was doing some further studies, but now, and I'm going to test my pronunciation, Ekeberg Senderplatte Club. So shout out to all of the Spirit winners at the European Ultimate Indoor Championships back in 2020. Oh, what a snatch. Skies it though into quite the pack of players underneath it. Deleuze has a go, but gets pressured out of the way by Steinar Gundersen.
It was a nice idea. It was a tempting deep shot, but the throw just not quite good enough for the receiver to be able to make the play. And Norway get another chance to go at wind.
Well, you sort of don't mind going for yards. Bit of conservation of greatness. Looks like to be Guillaume Lejeune. And a timeout being called by the Norwegians. I like that, starting to steady themselves and come up with a game plan to try and get the break up wind, because that would be so handy as they trail 5-3. first half action between Belgium and Norway here, the mixed division at the European Ultimate Championships 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Lou Burgess, calling this game for you. And thus far, it's been the Belgians in charge with 2 breaks.
Yeah, they have looked like the better team so far this game, but Norway have a chance to come back now. This is a break chance, but they do have the full length of the pitch to go into the wind, which has picked up a little bit during that timeout. Of course, you missed Belgium keeping themselves warm with a little bit of a dance in the huddle. Maybe we'll have a replay of that later, but they look in a pretty good position right now as Norway getting pushed back into their own end zone.
Yeah, the pressure of the zone that made them have a historic comeback. Not quite enough to best the Czech Republic this morning, but certainly a pretty good look at it. That one run down excellently, just securing the catch and ripping open the jar to the number 9, Stian Russell. Now, can the Norwegians make anything of this? It was all about that set-up throw. Ojenatha spinning around. One-hand grab for longer. The Canadian goes to the centre, but it's not linked through all the way. Now it is Gunderson putting it back in Ojenatha's hands. Longer. Can she do anything to go over the top? Russell now. Be nice to see, again, these Norwegian athletes crash through from behind the disc into the cup. Although a slash will do like that. Love the attack of Kanete, but unfortunately that one doesn't hit the mark, for Kristin Olsen. Low pivot to send the discs arcing across. Deleuze sends that one out into space. Beautiful catch and a connection in the end zone. Laura van Eberich finding Corentin Schietgat.
Yeah, nicely done from Belgium. Unfortunate drop from Norway. They looked so good going into the wind on that occasion, but as we see that layout pick up, and then here was the expansive shot. Finding Russell wide open in space, but they were unable to convert that field position into the score, and Belgium punish once again. I like the expansive deep shots going into the wind. This is something we saw from Germany in their comeback against Ireland in the mixed showcase game yesterday, throwing expansive shots into the wind, and that ended up winning them the game. So Norway 3 points down. They are getting chances, Annie.
They certainly are. I think it's just that zone is really making the pass tally rise so very high. In fact, the break first, well, of course, the first of 2 breaks for the Belgians. It was the Norwegians throwing 30 passes before there was the turnover that gave them this goal. That one cheekily over the top, but snuck away. The sleeper very much awake on the far sideline.
So some discussion here on this play. No hand signals just yet, but my guess would be that Elvström is potentially calling some kind of dangerous play, as she may have pulled out of this. So let's have another look in slow motion. Doesn't look like she pulled out, but at the same time, Matthias de Sleeper for Belgium was coming in hot, so disc is going back, but Norway maintain possession.
Oh, a big ripper directly into the hands of Bobby Clements. He may not be the tallest player out here on the pitch, but his experience allows him to find exactly the right spot coming from Mechelen. Of course, the Frisbee team. Helke, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Abele puts it up into the air, but there's a drop in the end zone. Hajizada threading it through, hopping it back again, and then the zone allows itself to be applied. Sofik on the far side is going to overshoot, trying to connect with Erik Jorgensen. And the Belgians shooting against this healthy breeze. You see Hajizada trying to put the pressure on the run through, manages to send this disc high with the mark. Jorgensen getting all the way to 9 in the stall count. It's a chuck in at hope, and it works out beautifully for the Belgians. John van den Abele, beautiful catch.
Well, Bobby Clements lists Masahiro Matsuno, the legendary Buzz Bullets player, as one of his sporting heroes, and you can see why with plays like that. Coming down with the big floaty disc over a much taller defender, and then throwing a big bladey forehand deep shot.
The definition of a hockey assist.
A well-deserved hockey assist after reading that play and then putting it up, seeing that that's the space where the defense wasn't really covering, and just trying to get the disc there. Not an easy throw in the wind, but the stall count was rising.
And not an easy catch either for Van den Abele. Hopefully I'm getting that mostly correct, but a big shout out to his 2 nieces, Latte and Mina, who he misses a lot. He's missed quite a lot of family parties because this is his 2nd cap for Belgian Ultimate. He obviously also played on the Belgian mixed side back at the EUC Championships in 2019 in Győr, Hungary, which we'll try and say as few things as possible about that tournament, apart from the fact that the finals were amazing and the quarterfinals for the women's division were also amazing. But that footage might be lost to the annals of time.
I was lucky enough to not be there, let's put it that way.
We didn't quite get Lekode, but we definitely got Győr. But no, it's definitely a big responsibility hosting a championship, and thus far I have to say the TOC and LOC here in Limerick are doing a fantabulous job. Of course, we expected nothing less after their wonderful hosting of the World Masters Ultimate Championships in June last year. But the Norwegians looking to try and keep themselves in this game. They've been broken 3 times. Is it going to be 3 on the bounce for the Belgians, though? They're shooting against the wind where they've looked a little bit more uncomfortable. Steinar Gundersen, though, with that reset to the far side. So it is decently paced movement. It looks off Daniel Herman. Now finding him on this far wing. Oh, that's a bit too touchy there, I think, from Kevin Hogan. This definitely was for Marit Pedersen.
You said it earlier, but Norway looking to play a very low contact style of ultimate, which is really the correct style of ultimate. If I'm reading the rules properly, it is a non-contact sport. Last time I checked, so understandable that there's some discussion as defender was coming in hot on this one. Let's have another look at it. It was really good movement laterally to open up that hole through the wall. But of course, the way the rules of ultimate work, you don't deserve the block unless you can get it cleanly. So Norway do maintain possession.
And it's cleanness all the way through as well. There's no kind of argument of, well, I got the disc first. If it's meaningful contact on the follow through, that still counts. Because of course you can still get really badly injured after someone else has knocked the disc away. But we like to not see that kind of business on Ultimate Fields, especially on our live streams. Herman with that pop to get us underway. Big movement to the far sideline. What a lovely redemption catch from Bettina Jar. action role, the hero we all desperately need. Again, this Belgian zone causing some real issues. The Norwegians just trying to inch their way forwards against that wall. Better spread now for the Norwegians. When they throw it against this breeze with confidence, it becomes a thing of beauty, but that one is going to escape the begloved hands of Alexander Jahr. Now, it's Hogan. He's going to throw into the end zone, front corner, and it's another roll. I tell you what, the players out here on the field, Lou, are barely staying on their feet. That looks to be another stat for the number 25, Andrew Deless.
Well, the fields are a little bit slippery with the intermittent showers that we've had all day long. That on top of a bit of wind, with the disc going slightly far ahead or slightly far behind. And that's exactly what we expect to see with players throwing themselves around the fields. We love to see the intensity. That will be the 8th point of the game, as Belgium really asserted themselves in this first half. Good technique on that sliding catch. So we can take a look at the stats for the first half. Here they are. So 8-3. No breaks for Norway just yet. They've had chances though. Only one clean hold from Belgium.
They certainly have. In terms of, for me, I think the biggest difference in our stat line, because we get a little bit more depth than you folks get on your screen, because otherwise you'd be overwhelmed with the amount of information, I'll be honest. But the average passes per turn for the O-line of the Norwegians, they have to complete 13.5 passes before they get turned over, whereas the O-line of the Belgians, it's 9.7 passes before there's any kind of mischief happening. And a total tally for the O-line of the Norwegians, 108 passes in the first half. A real stark contrast from the Belgians, who've only thrown 29. So as you see the aerial shots here of lovely sunny Sunday Limerick here on the Emerald Isle, we'll take a break here in the booth alongside the athletes on the field. Don't go anywhere though. Second half action coming right at you as the Belgians lead 8-3 over Norway.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Second half about to emerge in this matchup. Mixed division here at the European Ultimate Championships 2023 between Belgium and Norway. The sun is shining here on the Emerald Isle. Limerick, County Limerick. I know you've been enjoying your tournament so far, Lou.
I've been having a great time so far. I mean, the weather could be better, although this game has been absolutely excellent. The shelter we've got, fortunately, here at Media City is pretty good, so not gotten too damp so far. All of our cameras and all of our camera operators are fully wrapped up in the most waterproof materials known to humankind. Bin bags, of course. But yeah, it's been a good time so far. Food has been on point, been well looked after by the staff and volunteers here. And we've been treated to some fantastic games so far.
We absolutely have, and of course this is a matchup between two of the lowest seeds here at the championships. Of course, this is what it's all about, though. Live streams don't have to just be for those championship games, and we are delighted to have both the Belgians and the Norwegians here displaying their decorated performances here for you against each other, of course, and against the wind. It's like playing against a third team almost out here sometimes on the fields in Limerick. At least that's what Torben Hornschemeyer said yesterday on Live from 55, our wrap-up show that we've been doing here. Hard-working journalists, hard-working camera ops. We just love this sport. So, the top 25 Norwegian players of 125 total in that nation, currently with the wind behind them and the disc in hand. Surely this will be a good hold for them. Grotterund passing to the far sideline. It's being worked very well by Vilde Elvestrom. Just a swing across. Arvin Bjorkus, who's now available again. If only he'd hover a little bit deeper on the sideline. You can see there Magnus Grotterund, and I have exactly the same feeling. You want to kind of gain on the swings when you can against especially this type of almost oppressive zone. Grotterund looking around, that's a lovely opener, but it just gets a little bit too much velocity and sails away from Christina Miernik.
It was a nice idea from Norway. They had space on that side, but interesting that they took that shot and not the expansive shot to this side of the pitch, despite the space that was available.
Oh, well, they do gallop over the end zone line after getting the shorter field opportunity. Arvin Bjorkus with the goal and a celebration for the Norwegians. They are delighted to be here representing their nation. Such strength amongst that 125 player base. Of course, Belgium not the biggest ultimate program either in terms of the size of their country, but of course it's all about the depth of their junior programs that they've invested so much into over the years. Of course, representing a number of different club side, this Belgian team. Of course, we've got some Glorials and some Mooncatchers amongst. Of course, hailing from Brussels. We have some Free Spec from Mechelen. And of course, a couple of Jet Sets as well. Any other teams being represented?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I mean, of course, you'd expect Mooncatchers and Jet Set to be represented. Two fantastic club teams coming out of Brussels in particular. Of course, Skywalkers, Hanny's favourite team name. Bit of a short pull from Norway on this occasion, as the wind has picked up ever so slightly.
And also some Frisbees as well, and some gentle folks from Ghent, of course. That's in terms of the Belgians. And so now on the pitch with the disc in hand. Velez up line. That's a little bit air bouncy, but well read by Emily Works. Now through to Lejeune. Back to Works. Oh, launches an absolute cannon down the far sideline for Guillaume Lejeune. Now that is some swift downwind offense, Lou.
Yeah, nicely done. Great deep cut. Great throw out into space. Belgium looking fantastic going downwind. So they get their first point of the second half. Let's take another look. Just set off deep. And easy job for the thrower. Just had to get it to that back quarter of the end zone. Confident offense from Belgium. Just what we'd expect to see.
We've been called out, rightly so, in the chat for not immediately mentioning Gentle when we talk about the Belgian youth programs. Of course, you're quite right, Dr. Goliath. We see you in our live chat. It is indeed such a key part of the programs that develop and send youth athletes through. And they have fantastic kit and also host a wonderful tournament of their own, which this Belgian team actually entered, called G-Spot, and Gentle Mixed Invite they also ran this season. But I've never made it to G-Spot myself. I've been invited to play for a couple of teams, but never made the journey across. But I do hear it is a wonderful scene to be at, as that one fails to connect with Maddie Pedersen, who is on the money so often in the early stages of this game, but that's another throwaway from the Norwegians trying to hit him at it.
Well, they're going downwind. I guess they back their defense to make blocks going upwind. They almost got one there, but Belgium do maintain possession.
Well, this one may well trade out, and if it does, it will be the Belgians who take the first win of the tournament so far. Alexander Jar making sure that disc stays distinctly in the ground, but there might be a call on it. An accepted foul perhaps, or a stall out. No, accepted stall out. Okay, hold on. Contested stall out that's retracted because it was a turnover. There we go. So a ground tap required, just to allow everybody else to shuffle around. So Canete scoops, and there's the layout, but it just bounces off of the grip of glove. That surface on the palm, giving an extra bit of boing rather than anything else. But there's a smack down in the deep space. Steinar Gundersen. Coming in is Jard. Or Jard. Now back into Gundersen. Had to think about the through into Pedersen. Kenetta. Again, it's such a tempting channel to throw through that pack, but there are a lot of defenders who could swipe away the disc. We've seen a couple of run-throughs already from the Belgian zone. Canete. And the drop there, you see the double fist bump. Yes, the celebration from the defender. But I think that was just an error from Pedersen. And an easy one up line. See the ability to watch it into the hands all the way to the bank. Jesse Lux with the goal.
Belgium continue to be dominant in the second half. Just finding players free in the end zone at will. And more importantly, getting the disc to them. Some unfortunate errors from this Norwegian side. Belgium haven't been putting on a huge amount of defensive pressure, but as soon as the pass totals start to rise, Norway's disc skills seem to let them down a bit. Here's another look at that shot into the end zone. Well weighted upwind throw. Collected comfortably in the back corner. And Belgium's lead just creeping out of range for Norway, I think.
Yeah, it does look like the Norwegians will remain firmly in the bottom seed here in Pool D. Of course, giving you some score update action. All of the live scores are available on the ULTI organizer website. Go to the official tournament website to find that link when you go to the Watch Live page. I won't try and bore you with reading out the entire web address, but an update, of course, 8-7, currently Germany leading over the Czech Republic. So the Norwegians having already played against the Germans. Looks like we might see a second German win if that one stays that way round. But of course, it was a close game, 15-12 for the Belgians against the Czech Republic earlier on. So the top spot in this Pool D could well be a big old tussle for position. The Norwegians, though, will look to keep this game alive for as long as possible. Just over half expired. That one picked off in the sky. Lots of hang time on it. Perfect for Kevin Horgan to come in and collect. A lefty just is reeled in. Goodness gracious. Jelle van der Moere with the clutch grab. Just swinging it back and forth, though. This is good hold defense from the Norwegians. Jon van der Billet, though, is going to work it out beautifully to Deleuze, and he celebrates the little mini airplane.
Very nice. Good spike. We like to see those. And Belgian zone, once again, just baiting these arrows out of Norway. Not really coming through and getting massive blocks, just waiting for one errant disc. And then they gobble it up. And they had fantastic field position at that point after that turn, allowing them to punch in the goal nice and easily, extending their lead. Let's have another look at how this goal was set up. So a give go to that side, but the defense potentially had the upline cut covered. Unfortunately, they did not have the lateral cut in the end zone covered. And Hogan completes the pass to Delhassi for the score.
So we edge ever closer. The Belgians in double-digit territory here in this final round of pool play today. Day one of official full play, because we had a couple of sneaky showcase games yesterday afternoon after the opening ceremonies here. It was a wet and windy affair, so the delight of the much calmer conditions. I like the respect there from the cup, hustling away when they realise there are no other players in the area, avoiding the double team. We love to see it, but that is not what we love to see. A drop on the far sideline. Bettina Jard coming in, doing everything she could to try and retain possession, but short field for the Belgians. Clements to the rising Bikke van der Leeuw. Now swinging back. Keltermans. Great run attempt, but not to be. Gunderson going toe to toe, but that one's going to be ripped out of the sky by Jard. Alex Jar with the D, and it's going to be Hammer to pick it up. But he throws a flick forehand. In fact, I don't think we've seen too many hammers so far in this game. So, you know, a bit of normative determinism, perhaps. Longor looking for options. Easy pop through to Gunderson. The fake of that big launch. A sliding catch. Longor. Oh, that's a risky biscuit and a half, and that's going to be taken away by the defense. Yasulux lurking in the back of the pack. Now he's going to move forward, looking for Bobby Clements, but thinks better of it, instead replaced by Van der Moere. Opens up a really interesting flick that gets stopped by the wind cold.
Yeah, just turned over immediately. Released it with quite a lot of power, but not enough spin to have it level out in the wind. It is starting to gust a little bit, but Norway have been a lot more confident going downwind than upwind. but perhaps they don't like the look of the wind and opt to call the timeout instead. So they will have a chat to see what they can come up with, try and get a few more points to finish out this game. Belgium only 4 away. But don't go anywhere, we'll be right back after this.
Second half stages here at the European Ultimate Championships. Mixed division, we have Belgium versus Norway. After a comeback for the ages, managed to see them go 3 shy of the Czechs. The Belgians responding 11 for the current scoreline, nearly an exact replica, but of one more on the tally from the Norwegians versus their game against the Germans this morning. Of course, the one other team we failed to mention being in Pool D are, of course, the hosts, Ireland Mixed. So, Lou, what were you thinking of their performance in these conditions? No home field advantage, really.
You'd think they would have the home field advantage. We were joking earlier that none of the teams here have really had a chance to prepare in these conditions, apart from perhaps the Irish. But yeah, they had an unfortunate game against Germany yesterday. They looked so good for most of the game before Germany had a 5-point comeback. But they've rallied today, 15-4 victory over the Czech Republic. So confident stuff from the Irish. They'll be looking to take second place in this pool, assuming they can best the Belgium and Norway teams that we are watching right now.
Well, that one is going to be a race towards the back pocket of the end zone. Oh, but what a heartbreak hotel moment for Norway. That would look so good until the disc just dropped out of Lars Hammer's hands. What a shame. He ran at one and read it so beautifully.
It was such a good throw, such a good cut, well read. Just a slight lack of focus at the end, perhaps. Tragic for Norway. They will have to make a big defensive stand. Let's see if Belgium can go the distance.
A sky ball that nearly gets scooped up by the Norwegians, but they leave it for a slower start. Just a little miss there. Alex Shah starting us off. Oh, I tell you what, that might just be a beautiful one-pass score. Is it going to be good? No, just sails too far. The attempt for Steinar Gunnarsson to try and almost, I don't know, to be fair, if he'd pulled off a greatest over the top of the banner on the far sideline, I think that might have been the greatest play of all time ever.
Well, we saw a pretty close one in the open final of the U24 World Championships. This one might have topped it in terms of technical skill if he'd hurdled the sign as well as complete the greatest.
Yeah, not really a good crossover sport, hurdling and ultimate. But occasionally you do need to still, make sure you stay on your feet and jump over a laying out defender or some such. But keeping us interested and in this game, the sizzle from the Norwegians at time has been really good, and certainly keeping the Belgians working for every single disc. Gunnarsson looking for the around backhand, and it's again a drop for the Norwegians in this end zone downwind. Such a shame. The sideline calling for a more centralised stack, and the turnover is generated on the goal line. Verbomen unable to collect. So, the shortest possible field opportunity for the Norwegians. You can see an isolation being set up for Steinar Gundersen. And Alex Jar getting us underway with disc in hand. The replacement is there. Could have gone for that around backhand, but chooses just one straight into the chest. Bettina Jar just cannoning forward like a juggernaut.
Yeah, interesting spread setup in the end zone for Norway. They have 3 players across the back, 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle. Isolation in the front. The rest of the players outside the end zone. They managed to make it work, clearing some space and allowing their receivers to attack into the middle. So Norway do eventually get their 5th point on the board. Let's take another look at this unfortunate drop in the front corner, but fortunately for them, Belgium were unable to work the disc up the field. And we see this forehand into the end zone.
The Belgians just preparing themselves for another shoot downwind for female matching players. So the pull from the hands of Sitara Hajizada. It's going to be a one-shot score though for the Belgians. Bit of dude ball there. Andrew Delesse finding Corentin Schitkat. But I don't blame you. It's a nice option.
Hey, if someone's free running towards the end zone, why not throw it? It's a very well set up deep cut. And a nice throw too. Not an easy throw. Had to go with the inside out edge, as opposed to the more conventional roll curve throws. But as we take another look, fades nicely into the receiver. Had good vertical separation on the defender. And you love to see a clap catch deep shot in the end zone. Everything went right.
Unless you're the defense, in which case everything went terribly, terribly wrong. There's always 2 sides to every story, and I think that's one of the great lessons that sport teaches us. What feels one way for a certain team or a certain player can feel very different for their opponent. And of course, one of the great things about this selfish officiated sport is that there's a greater appreciation of that difference, and the camaraderie is really apparent. I myself am looking forward to the tournament party at the end of the week, where lots of those connections that are developed over the course of the championship get to see their full effect. But the Norwegians once more with the wind behind them, looking to stay alive in this game. 12-5 the current score. The Belgians with an impressive lead. Bjorkos working in the back space alongside Sofig. Now swinging nicely across for male matching players, doing the work in the handler set against the zone, looking to try and puncture, get it to their female matchups. Grotterud wasn't for him, but the confusion causes the turnover. I have a feeling that was supposed to be for Ivan Bjorkos. Belgians using almost every player, but you can hear the hand block from here on that throw. Rescued by the player downfield. Tell you what, Matthias de Slipper, the name is not apt. He's awake and alive and giving us thrills here in this game.
Had to rescue that one from the clutches of a turnover. It was a massive piece on this deep shot. I believe it was this throw. You can't hear it on the replay, but it was very much audible from where we're stood. A heroic effort. And the curse of the conservation of greatness does not strike. Manages to complete the fairly easy pass into the end zone, but you never know with the windy conditions we have here. Throws like that can all of a sudden become a lot harder to execute.
Well, some deliciousness served up by the process engineer himself. Works for a chocolate company. And that was as smooth as something that you might export from the Swiss nation in terms of its quality. One of the OG Frisbees from back in the day, but has played for quite a few of the Belgian clubs in his time. Played for the Leuven University team. Of course, the university scene, not something we talk too much about in Belgium, but also a jet set and gentle athlete in his time. The number 28 is 28 years old, sorry, the number 24, Matthias de Sleeper. So, the Norwegians trying to punch another one in here. Daniel Herman with the bucket hat and Sonny's out there on the field's disc in hand again now. Just trying to get through over the top. I'd like to see, again, a little bit more aggression from the handler set. There are turnovers being generated by the zone, so why not have them a bit further upfield, I say. But the drop indeed does come. Hajizada just couldn't quite get a pause around it. Clements looking for options, goes back to Lejeune. Back to Clements. Oh, and an easy find, almost like some kind of Moses play, but no, just all alone on the front line. Sara Rahali.
Riley just had to stand still in the end to get free of the defenders who were being a little bit baited by the movement of the disc and the faking from the throwers. I have to agree with you. When Norway were back in their own end zone, why not just punt it deep and have the turnover further downfield, as this was far too easy for Belgium.
Well, it's not even a guaranteed turnover, right? They have actually been connecting on some of those deep shots, getting themselves that momentum upfield. I mean, certainly they had 3 points that they scored in the first half. They've had 2 in this, but it really has been a case of the Belgians eating up the scoreboard in the latter stages. That's 3 on the bounce. First opportunity coming out on defense with the wind against them. But can they cause another Norwegian overthrow? We, of course, had some really unfortunate drops when the Norwegians were shooting downfield in the second half. So see if they can punch another in and keep this game alive a couple more points. Grotterund starting us off. It's match coverage downfield, but sagging into the lanes from the Belgian defense. Grotterund now, though, able to use his speed to set up a throw in momentum, but it again does not connect downfield. A great run from Justina Mjernik, but unfortunately that one is for the ground alone. So back in play, Verbomen throws the inside shot through to Osters. One or two Osters sisters. Osters. The 74 and 75, Delphine and Nora. So that one will come back into the hands of Delphine. One of the free spec players from Mechelen. An injury call. Well, that's not what you want to see late in the game. Jelle van der Moor just striding off the pitch. Hopefully he will be okay. But looking at the survey actually of the second Orsa sisters, the number 75, she lists Rachel Turton and Oliver Brown of Liverpool Ultimate fame, and now disc golfer Supreme as her sporting heroes. They were coaches of hers back in Liverpool. And a round shot into the wind. The throwing prowess of this Belgian side. You can't feel it in your face, folks, but right now the wind has really picked up, so this is impressive and a half. Rahali centering back. That's the one that comes a little bit unstuck. Grotteren just making sure a hip block as well as hand block, just to keep that out of contention for the Belgians. Grotteren inside, but that one flobbles away. There's a moment where it looked like there was going to be a hero reaction for Marit Pedersen, but not to be. Van den Abel in. That one low, but well kept by Nora Osters. We did mention the little collision foul. Not sure who caused that contact, Lou.
No, it's a bit difficult to tell from our angle, but definitely a lot of contact. We'll see what the players decide. All that really matters here is what the stall count will be. If it's contested, then the stall will remain. If it's accepted, then, well, it also depends if it's an offensive or defensive foul. Decent chance it's an offsetting foul and absolutely nothing happens. The play will just restart. We'll see what the players decide. Okay. Offensive indirect foul accepted. So the stall will come in on 5. We are back underway.
Oh, lovely pass. Sorry, pass. Lovely lay bid to keep the pass in hand. Pick goal might roll that one back into the hands of De Sleeper. It looks like we're going to have just players able to catch up. Panels retaining possession. Ward Panels, of course. Plays his ultimate again. Another Mechlin player. So clearly the real core of this mixed side. That one's a very quirky option indeed, though. Showed the complete backside to the wind and pushed out into no man's land. Grotteren, who I think has played pretty much every point so far this game, throws the lovely inside, but it falls out of the hands. So close, but Christian Olsen couldn't quite hang on. So another grindy point out here on the pitch. Lovely redemption again. Slightly loose pass, but De Sleeper making the excellent adjustment. Van den Abel sets up a beautiful momentum pass. High reaching grab for Panels. With some ski goggles all the less. That one's going to be out of bounds, though. Again, the Belgians not able to execute those inside low backhands.
Yeah, they looked really good going into the wind on that occasion. The wind's still blustering. This point more so than previous points, making it difficult for the Belgians. But I really liked the disc movement just before that turnover. Immediate backwards pass on stall 0, set up that deep shot. They weren't quite able to convert all the way into the end zone, as Norway now have the full length of the field to go themselves.
Well, I do like that confidence in the wind, and the turnover is generated with a huge layout bid from Ward Panels. Well, can this be the moment? Timeout! It's not going to be the moment. We get another look in slow-mo at that huge layout bid to generate an extraordinarily short field for the Belgians. But we're going to have to wait a little longer to find out if this one will close for the defensive break once again for the Belgians. Don't go anywhere. This game will finish after these messages. the final moments potentially of this matchup between Belgium and Norway here in the mixed division at the European Ultimate Championships 2023. And we have some strange scenes there. Ben Jonkers with his track pants halfway down his legs.
Interesting look. I think he's adjusting his shorts or something.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Definitely adjusting some shorts. Not trying to show off his just real big knees to whoever he's chatting to on the far sideline. But of course, Belgian love some of the Open team coming to support their players. Of course, they had an emphatic victory against the Swiss earlier on today. And after their successes at the Under-24 division, I'm sure all the teams here representing Belgium will be hot to trot and looking to advance up the standings as far as they can go. So, short field opportunity, and it's an immediate first pass for the score. The game plan from the timeout works out perfectly, and ripping it down, Wob Panils, who really stepped up in that final point for the Belgians. 15-5, the score ends the game, and our play here today on pitch 11.
Yeah, emphatic victory for Belgium. They were the better team. They managed to punch the disc in upwind plenty of times. Norway were having real issues with the conditions, also with some consistency with their throwing and catching. But fantastic to see a Norwegian team here representing the small scene over there. The more players you can get to events like these, the better for all of these smaller nations. So well played from Norway, and hope to see big things from them in the future. But Belgium came out emphatically on top as we see that huge layout bid. There's another replay of that final score. You see Norway bracketing the end zone out of the timeout, but not quite tight enough. And they do find that blade into the middle of the stack for the score. And a good catch in the end zone as well. So as you can see, we do have an interview. Number 26, Wob Panils. Hello, sir. Well done, well played. Can you just give us your thoughts on how that game went for you?
For me, I think I was a little in a wrong headspace. I wasn't there with the whole team. The team performed really great. I myself, I was really frustrated. In my throws, it was, I think you can see it on the field. I didn't play very, very well, but at least I brought it in defense. So I'm very happy we took the game. We had a little hard time this morning. So I'm happy for the team that we win. And I hope we can do the same tomorrow and the rest of the tournament.
Well, I have to say the stats line tells a very different story, Vod, than how it felt for you on the pitch. I mean, you had a goal, an assist, and two very important blocks during the course of the game. So clearly your defensive brain was having a good time. But I mean, heck, if you can give us more in the future, I'm very excited to see how the Belgian mixed team will do, as of course you go through the championship. What's been the best moment so far playing with this team?
I think we can be really happy about the comeback in our last game, where we were a lot behind in the first part of the game, and then we came back, and that's what we pulled through right in this game. That's what we did on the field. So if we can continue that, that's for me is the best part of the game. We have some superstars, but the whole team is really well starting to build, and we're going for the end of the tournament.
Well, I'll just leave it with this then. So, do you have any messages for your fans back home? Because, of course, there's such a strong club scene in the Belgian nation.
I want to thank Frisbee and Arno Kapers. I love you.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Vod. Go celebrate your first win of the championships. I'm sure there'll be more. So that will wrap us up here on the show pitches. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Lou Burgess, for all of our ULTI.TV hardworking crew. We might leave you with some highlights running, but don't go anywhere tomorrow. Set your alarm clocks nice and early. 9 o'clock local time. We'll be bringing you plenty more action. Get yourself onto the website and figure out exactly what games matching up will be. But that will wrap us up here today. Sunny Sunday in Limerick on the Emerald Isle at the European Ultimate Championships 2023.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.